Good evening, Ms. Bowler. Thank you for taking the time from your busy schedule for this interview. I
No
am Miss
problem.
Marilyn Mason. I am Miss Marilyn Mason, and my colleagues are Miss Alice Ku, Miss Sanjivani Hamadio, and Miss Rosita Prasad. We are undergraduate students from the University of the Southern Caribbean, and this interview is a requirement for the course, Strategies for Teaching Reading and Literacy to Children in an Inclusive Setting. My first question to you is, what approach to teaching reading is being used at the Peters Hall Primary School?
All right. Thank you for having me. So as it relates to that question, at Peters Hall Primary School, we use the phonetic approach to teaching reading because it actually provides a direct, accurate language representation. It's particularly useful for language learning, allowing students to associate the songs with the same, to distinguish similar songs that are difficult to differentiate. Furthermore, the phonetic approach can accurately transcribe any language, useful for linguistics. That is when we're languages that are not widely spoken.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell us about the reasons for choosing the phonetic approach?
Well, we use various strategies to implement an approach to literacy in the classroom. So first, I focus on creating an environment to encourage students to actively participate in their learning. So with choosing the phonetic approach, we actually bring about this sort of requirement or what we're looking for from the children. So this includes providing the students with opportunities to actually interact with the material, complete their activities, ask questions. And I emphasize the importance of the critical thinking within our young learners and to be able to provide them with the tools and resources they actually need to think critically about the material that is being used. I focus on connecting the material and real world examples, helping foster like a deeper understanding of the material. With these strategies, it helps to create an environment where the students are more engaged and they're motivated and, they will become successful in their literacy learning.
Okay. Indeed, the phonetic approach is important because it helps to create a foundation for literacy. I will now allow my colleague, Ms. Sanjivani, to take over. Over to you, Ms.
Thank you, Miss. Can you describe for us 2 or 3 strategies you use to implement this literacy approach in the classroom?
Sure, certainly. Providing accommodation and modifications for the diverse learning and also special education needs learners. It's really important within their learning process. So different schools and districts will have different policies and procedures for providing these accommodation. But some common practices would include the extra time on tests, providing the visual aids or other materials to assist with their understanding, and modifying the modifying the instructional approach to fit the needs of the learner. Because remember, it's all about the specific learner because the children differ in their learning styles. So it's important to understand that every student is different and these accommodation and modifications should be tailored to meet that student's unique needs. Additionally, it's important to ensure that students with special needs are not isolated or singled out by providing the support they need to succeed in the classroom.
Great. You actually wrapped up 2 of my questions there. You went there into specifically focusing on the needs of students with special education or diverse needs.
Yes.
So thank you. Can you share some of the challenges you encounter in implementing these strategies, and maybe add how you can overcome them, how you overcame them?
All right. So When it comes to the phonetic approach, one of the main challenges that I would experience would be teaching, for teaching the reading, is that it can be a bit difficult for students to actually remember the songs associated with each letter. So I guess that's where the repetition comes into play. All right, you need to repeat it often so that they can actually register, it can register to them, especially our special needs students. Students, they may find it difficult to apply the techniques of the phonetic approach to like unfamiliar words. Now, to address this issue, I would help my students develop strong phonetic awareness, which is the ability to recognize and manipulate the individual sounds in words. So this would actually help them in reading or decoding words that are not familiar to them. So I would also encourage them to practice sounding out words by reading aloud and using the visual clues from the text to help them sound out those unfamiliar words. I think
Yes,
that
indeed.
should be able to
I
that
can see,
question.
I can see
Sorry.
that's working for you too. It's very informative. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we move to Miss Rosita.
Okay, yes, miss. My question, do you think another approach to teaching reading will benefit you and your learners more? Explain.
All right. I wouldn't say directly switching to another approach. I would say incorporating another approach into the approach that I'm already using. So as I would have said before, I'm using the phonetic approach in teaching reading. But as you know, growing up, we would have used the whole word approach in learning how to read ourselves. So in incorporating the whole word approach, it can also assist with our phonetic approach. Now, when it comes to the whole word approach, I think it is beneficial to the point where you have certain words that cannot be decoded by the phonetic approach. Most of them would be our sight words. So when it comes to implementing or helping our students to read sight words, we can also incorporate that whole word approach.
Okay, miss, nice. Now, if you have limited resources, what support would you add to the classroom to improve literacy and reading classes?
Limited resources. If I have limited resources,
Yes.
can you repeat the question for me, please?
Okay, if you have limited resources, so what support would you add to the classroom to improve literacy?
Unlimited. Unlimited. It's unlimited resources.
Unlimited
It's
resources.
unlimited. Yes, it's unlimited.
Unlimited resources. So if I have access to resources, basically unlimited access to resources.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, good. Thank you. All right. So when it comes to having unlimited access to resources, that would actually assist us greatly in the classroom to improve our reading approach.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Is there sufficient resources to support the phonetic approach?
Currently at our school, there is not sufficient resource. So this to actually accommodate the phonetic approach that we want to use, because there are certain things or certain strategies that we would like to implement in the classroom that we do not get the opportunity to do so due to the limited resources. So if it is that I had access to unlimited resources, there's so much more that I can actually incorporate into my classroom, inclusive of more materials, more manipulatives for my pupils, because you know that these manipulatives actually help in reinforcing the phonetic aspect of the lesson that we're trying to bring over to the children. So with the unlimited resources, I would incorporate manipulatives, a wider variety of appropriate level reading books, and also technology, of course. We know that we live in a technological age where the children, when they're at home or at play, they have a lot of access to technology, and that's their focus. So if it is in our public schools, we had access to these resources, especially the technology, and we know most schools do not have access to technology, I think we would be able to capture more of the children's attention and focus and make the phonetic approach in learning to read a bit more fun for them.
So actually you would have partly answered, but I was going to ask you next, are there currently any school-wide literacy initiative, or is this literacy handled at a class level basis? Like if you school, right? You have any, if at the school there's a wide literacy initiative, or if it's just handled at a class level?
That is the approach you're currently using.
Yes. Well, our school literacy is handled for the most part on a class level. It can be also not just class. For some of us, it's at the class level, and for others, it would be at the divisional level. Now, each teacher, they have their own common activities related to literacy, and there are also initiatives in place to promote literacy across the school. For example, there's actually a school-wide reading program that encourages students to read for pleasure and gain a greater understanding of the world. We also have a school-wide writing program that encourages our students to explore different writing genres and become more confident in their writing.
Okay, Miss, thank you.
Good afternoon, Ms. Belair. So you have answered my question if there's any school-wide, if there's no school-wide approach to the literacy policy. So if there's no school-wide approach, how do you think, or give us your thoughts on something like this for your particular school? If there's no school-wide approach, what is your thought on some of the,
all right, so
on your particular school?
All right, now, as you all know, as I said before, the Ministry of Education has not established a literacy policy. All right, so with our school, we try to incorporate activities related to reading. As you all know, we're all familiar with something called the spelling bee. So at our school, we would incorporate the reading bee, which is like a reading competition among the students. And we try to differentiate the level of the reading so that we can, include everyone. So it's differentiated instruction. At our school, we have special needs children. So to be able to keep them involved or a part of this reading bee, we try to ensure that we have varying levels of books and we categorize the groups according to their ability or their reading level.
Thank you, Ms. Belair. That is such a great initiative in that school. So what is your opinion on children being literate or attaining literacy standards by a certain age?
All right. Yeah, it is definitely important for children to be literate by a certain age, as early as possible, because literacy actually opens up a world of knowledge and opportunity. A basic understanding of reading, writing, and language skills is actually essential for a child to succeed in school and life. Being literate gives children better access to educational materials, which can actually help them reach their full potential. I don't know if you ever heard the saying, learn to read and read to learn. So it's really important that our children have these skills to be able to further themselves in the school. It also gives them the ability to participate in the global economy and actually become informed citizens. Literacy is a fundamental human right, and it should be supported to ensure that all children benefit.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Belair, for your time. this afternoon.
You're welcome.
Your responses are well noted and they will greatly assist us in evaluating the literacy approaches or approach in Peters Hall Primary School. Thank you so much.